Well, it was good to sing some songs that I haven't sung for a while, and to realize that I remembered the tune. And I'm sure for some of you, you have never sung some of those songs before, even though they're older ones for some of us. That's how it is with the music that we sing together. What may be an old traditional song, much loved for some, is a brand new song for other people. We trust that you have been blessed as we have enjoyed this time together. Well, it is holiday weekend, and we have some folks away today, and we have some folks visiting, and we'd like to give a very special welcome to those who are here for the first time. May the rest of the service continue to be a blessing to you. We have been doing a series of messages on the theme Foundations of Our Faith. Foundations of Our Faith from the book of Genesis. And truly, as we go back to the first book of the Bible, we find that the foundations are laid for so many of the things that we stand firm on as what we believe and what our faith is all about. God is our creator. God is our redeemer. The story of creation itself. The plan that God designed for marriage. And then the fall that we looked at last Sunday and the Sunday before. And what it has meant to this world to go through this sin of our original parents, Adam and Eve, and how this has been really passed on to every human being and every generation since that time. But yet God's blessing and His grace continues to be with us. And today we move into some territory that might be fairly new to some of you, even though it's an old story for a lot of us. And one guy in the sound room, I won't give his name, said that this is one of his favorite stories from the Bible, the story of Noah and the ark and what happened. Perhaps you like this story. You have seen pictures of an ark floating through the water, and all of the animals, the giraffes and the elephants, their heads are sticking out over the top of the ark. I'm not so sure it was really like that in the original ark with all of the animals that were there. But it is an incredible story. You're probably going to hear this word numerous times today. It's an incredible story. It's a story that we believe by faith. We weren't there when it all happened, but we have experienced the consequences of some of the things that happened with Noah and the ark that he built, and what happened with the flood, and how that flood really has dramatically affected our world. Now, before we get to those things, I'd like to just ask you for a few moments, how is your faith? Noah is listed in the book of Hebrews chapter 11 as one of the great people of faith. Well, how is the state of your faith today? How would you describe the condition of your faith? Is your faith strong? Is it growing? Or maybe it's kind of on the other side. It's weak. And it's really quite fragile. Maybe at this time in your life, you're on shaky ground when it comes to your faith. Some things have happened to you. Some things have happened in your family circle. Maybe some things that have happened in the world have really shaken your faith. Well, believe me, it took a lot of faith for our friend Noah to follow through on God's commandment to him and God's plan for him to build an ark. And we're going to look at that this morning. This message is found in Genesis chapter 6 through to chapter 9. And it is a very important story in terms of the foundation of our faith. Jesus refers to it in the New Testament. He said in Matthew 24, when he was talking about the last days and the signs that we will see in the world indicating the time of his coming and the end of the world. Jesus says, as it was in the days of Noah, so will it be at the coming of the Son of Man. For in the days before the flood, people were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, up to the day Noah entered into the ark. And they knew nothing about what would happen until the flood came and took them all away. That is how it will be at the coming of the Son of Man. Now, I have to be careful not to go to that passage now and speak from these verses in the Bible in Matthew, but just to reference Jesus, because he goes back to Noah. And he says, just like it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be in the days of the coming of the Son of Man. Peter also talks about the flood as he talks about the end times. In 2 Peter chapter 3, verses 5 and 6, we read this. For since our fathers died, everything goes on as it has since the beginning of creation. But they deliberately forgot that long ago, by God's word, the heavens existed and the earth was formed out of water and by water. By these waters also the world of that time was deluged and destroyed. By the same word, the present heavens and earth are reserved for fire, being kept for the day of judgment and destruction of ungodly men. Now that might be alarming to you to hear that is all in God's plan for the end of time and the end of this world. We would love to go on to talk about the new heavens and the new earth. But before we can do that and before we can appreciate what God has planned after this world is finished in its present condition, we need to understand what he did in the life of this obedient man and his family of 8. We're going to look at some facts this morning and some lessons from the Noah story. You're welcome to follow along in the notes that you have in your bulletin. You can fill in those blanks, and that'll help you to stay wide awake as you're following and tracking with us. And there'll be another part where you can even fill in several lines, either your own thoughts in answer to that or some of the thoughts that we will share with you. But it's good to do this. Many of our small groups, I should say some of our small groups, use these notes when we gather together on a weekly basis, and we review them together and we see how they apply to our lives. May they be a blessing to you as we share them today. The first thought is right from the scriptures here, and this is that Noah was about 500 years old when God told him to build a big boat. This seemed like a very ridiculous order. And Noah obeyed God's instructions along with his family. We read back in Genesis chapter 5 and verse 32, and Noah was 500 years old when he became a father, the father of Shem and Ham and Japheth, 3 sons. And the word continues in chapter 6, when men began to increase in number on the earth, and daughters were born to them, the sons of God saw that the daughters of men were beautiful, and they married any of them they chose. Then the Lord said, my spirit will not contend with man forever, for he is mortal. His days will be 120 years. That's an interesting clue for us here as we think, first of all, of Noah's age. Now, I know that some of you are wondering, did they live that long? And how was it that they lived so long? We read of men like Seth, the son of Adam and Eve, who lived 912 years. And then Noah, he lived 950 years. And the oldest man in the Bible, what was his name? Methuselah. And how long did he live? 969 years. That's right.